spending an obscene amount of money on a custom bike and then waiting for 6 months to a year to get it delivered, it's just not for me. So, I'm buying a custom titanium bike. Please don't be mad at my old self. He was a young, impatient little rascal. But this doesn't mean I have thrown all the weight weenie shenanigans out the window. Those who have seen my older videos might have seen the video about my mate's titanium weight weenie bike. And while that was a rim brake bike at about 6.3 kilos, that video actually kind of planted a seed in my mind. What could I really get a disc brake titanium bike down to? And just like many of you, I've also seen all those really nice titanium custom bikes all over the internets lately. They all look drop dead gorgeous, but the weights always seems to land around 8 kilos or above. And sometimes that doesn't even include pedals. Blasphemy. So since there's really not any production frames out there at the moment that kind of tickles my fancy, I thought now would be the good time to take on this kind of challenge. Well, I say now, this was actually early last year. Like I said, like going custom takes a little bit of patience. So this video will be kind of like an introduction to this bike project. Normally I like to have at least like the frame in hand before I make a video. But since this bike now exists in like a 3D printed one-to-one prototype replica, I thought it was too nice not to share. Which frame builder I was going with was never really in question. Equilibrium Cycleworks is a small builder based here in Tokyo. Vlad is the fabricator extraordinaire, and Takahashi-san is the 3D printed mad scientist. And they have made some absolutely incredible looking bikes lately. And if you like pretty titanium welds, there's no need to look any further. And I've already seen a lot of them in the flesh since a few of my mates has been riding them for years. Being based in Tokyo also meant I could go there and visit them directly and discuss my ideas face to face, and that's what I did early last year for my first visit. I went there basically with one simple idea: getting a custom titanium frame as light as possible with the end goal of a complete titanium disc frame bike at the UCI 6.8 weight limit, or slightly below, including pedals. With that in mind, proprietary like custom cockpits and stuff like that was kind of out of the question, because it's just too much of a weight penalty and it's out of my price range, to be honest. So I was even willing to forgo internal cable routing. But when we got talking, Vlad introduced me to their new bike called E1 they had in development, which were going to include or incorporate internal cable routing. And when he said I would still be able to use my own cockpit of my choice, which would be my Schmolke TLO stem, the bike grew from just being a weight weenie challenge to actually ticking a lot of boxes to make it a bike that I could live with for a long time. I only had one worry with that internal cable routing, and that was the look of the bike. Would everything just look unbalanced with a big chunky head tube for those bigger bearings and that stem? Would it actually be a good looking bike or not? So that brings us to, late last year. Vlad and Takashi-san had 3D printed the whole bike in clear resin with my exact geometry as part of the development. Computer models are fine and all, but having a one-to-one model in front of your face really helps visualizing the balance look of the bike, as well as seeing all that cable routing and whatnot. And it certainly put my worries to rest, but I can let Vlad explain what actually went into that.
Okay, so yeah, we spent quite a lot of hours to match the diameters and the tweaking the whole balance of the stem, headset, head tube and down tube. The problem was to manage that all internal routing. We had to increase slightly the volumes of the head tube, and it was not that easy to match the overall balance of the frame. So finally we had to order our original the spec head tubes to the factory, so they made exactly our own specs.
And in the end, it's the data DCR, so we have full internal cable routing. Well, in this case we have the data superbox stem, but the ultimate plan is to use my schmoke. They slaughter me online when I say this wrong. Yeah, so the plan is to use this in the end. So he's scanning this right now to build...
that bottom part for the cable routing cable guide for the...
To match this.
Yeah, to match exactly, the shape, because the shape on the Superbox and Schmoke is a little bit different.
And I thought in the beginning that this would look too like bulky for a metal frame, but like you said, you have a little bit thicker tubes.
So the volume on the head tube and down tube, so it's a square shape as well, so we use the squares quite a bit on the dropouts and seat match stopper, so it's match, the elements should match very well. Also the fork as well, it's really nice and wide at the bottom.
It's number 22 bikes,
But
own fork.
yes,
For
themselves and the
custom builders.
Yeah, custom builders.
Which parts are 3D printed in total then?
Yeah, 3D printed like the dropouts up to here and here this side. Then seat lock fully, so it's connected from the seat stays and top tube, and seat mast stopper is fully printed.
Yes. So carbon seat tube with the 3D printed topper. This is like the prototype.
It's gonna weigh about 60 grams, so 60-70 grams, but without the mounting hardware, which is NV. Not the lightest one, but it's very stable and compared to 1 bolt. For you, we made the walls of the print down to 0.9 millimeter and some lattice inside, like a structure, like a mesh inside that supports the walls inside. So we shaved quite a bit.
Nice. I like that. So what did you say? You will save weight with the carbon.
Yeah, if it's a whole titanium, definitely you save the weight with the carbon. But if it's titanium and carbon seat post, probably not that much.
Okay, but it looks nice though.
Yeah. And we save by making this custom as well. We save probably maybe 70-80 grams for the just normal 44 millimeter head tubes we're using right now. And if it's integrated headset bearings as well, so if you don't use external cap headset, it's maybe 50-60 grams difference there as well.
Okay, yeah. So it's only drop-in bearings now.
Yeah. So this guy gonna save us in total, in a total build, not in a frame, but on the total bike, maybe around 100 grams.
Yeah. So to summarize, this will be a custom geometry titanium disc frame, integrated carbon seat tube, and there will be some 3D printed titanium parts like the dropouts, that junction between the seat stays and top tube, as well as that seat topper. Now there's a lot more you could really nerd out about, like what kind of tube selection we're going with, or geometry or stuff like that, but I thought that would be a nice thing to cover once we have the actual frame built up. But if you have some specific questions about this bike project, be sure to let me know. If I don't know the answer myself, I can always get Vlad to answer it and include that in an upcoming episode of this saga. And just to circle back to the beginning, my ultimate goal is still to have a complete titanium custom bike at the UCI weight limit of 6.8 or slightly below. But since some decisions I made along the way means this might not be the absolute lightest it can be, I need to look over some other areas where I can save some extra weight. While most of the parts will be transferred over from my Amonda, a full transfer will probably not be enough to hit that 6.8, so there are some other things in the pipeline. Yeah, stay tuned, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace. Now, since we're living in this era of the internet that we are living in, I guess I need to point out that this is not a sponsored video. I paid a deposit for this frame last spring, and I will pay the remaining sum once the frame is built up. Yeah, so I don't have any discounts code for you and stuff like that. Yeah, and that's how it is. Deal with it.